Well, the Georgia Supreme Court heard arguments yesterday in a fight over whether Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis must testify before State Senate Committee. The committee is investigating how Willis used public funds during the 2020 election interference case involving President Donald Trump and others, a case she was later removed from. Willis argues the subpoena is unlawful, but a Fulton County judge has already ruled that the committee does have that authority. Her attorney, former Governor Roy Barnes, says the subpoena is now moot because the committee was from a previous legislative session. The court says it will have a resolution soon and wants an update by December 17th. So let's do a little deeper dive into this with a guy that we know very well, Darryl Cohen. Always good to have you on, a former assistant Fulton County District Attorney and current defense lawyer. Thanks for being here. So we know that Fani Willis, we heard from her attorney, she is going to eventually testify. But what was your reaction to this making it all the way to the Georgia Supreme Court and being argued there?
Well, Jonathan, this is a case of what we like to call first impression. It's disappointing it has to go this far, but it's probably necessary. Now, this is not, by the way, the first subpoena. We're talking before the Supreme Court is subpoena number one. There's another subpoena that she is going to apparently utilize and testify according to Roy. And Roy Barnes, who is, as you guys know, a former governor here in Georgia, he knows the legislature and he knows what he can, cannot do, should not do. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not the Supreme Court says, yes, you have to comply with subpoena number one, even though it's probably a moot point because she, according to Roy, is going to go ahead and comply with subpoena number two. But either way, if she testifies, that is probably what is more important than anything else.
Yeah, because that's really at the core of this. Also at the core of the argument is whether a single chamber in the Senate, a Senate committee in this case, even has the power to subpoena a district attorney. So I know you've been in this a long time, this arena. How do you see this issue all playing out in terms of that, the subpoena power?
That's what's so very interesting, because if the Supreme Court agrees with the Superior Court judge and says, yes, she needs to testify based upon subpoena number one, then we have a precedent that if the assistant district attorney, or in this case, an elected district attorney, chooses not to testify, then he or she will have to. If, on the other hand, the Supreme Court says, no, they didn't have the power, then it sets a precedent so that if this happens yet again with another district attorney at any time in the future, we've got the Supreme Court say no, but we don't know what they're going to say. We don't know if it's no N-O or no K-N-O-W. That's what's going to be so interesting.
You know, Darryl, the interesting thing is I know a lot of our viewers may be watching and saying, wait, I thought the election interference case was dismissed, it's over, so why are we still talking about this? So does that make this subpoena that we're talking about moot, or is it still relevant?
It's still relevant because we don't know what the committee wants to know, and it's important to note that the committee is mostly Republican, if not completely Republican. Fani is a Democrat. That shouldn't play into it, but unfortunately, politics seems to play into everything.
Yeah, and that's true. A lot of people saying, is this really a legal fight or is this more of a political fight? And many would say it seems more political at this point.
To me, it's both political and not. This has been a war of attrition, and be careful what you ask for. Fani got involved in a major case which exploded over a period of time. Whether she had something to do with that explosion, a little to do, or a lot remains to be seen. But these are the remnants. Well, I like to say in a court, never happened before. It's predictably unpredictable. We're not sure what the future is going to hold, but we're going to find out.
Yeah, and we've never really seen this, at least not in Fulton County. So how does what's playing out reshape perhaps the relationship moving forward between district attorneys' offices and lawmakers?
Well, that's sort of what I was making reference to. You want lawmakers and district attorneys to be on the same side. On the other hand, there are legitimate questions of whether or not the elected DA is doing what we, the legislature, thinks the elected district attorney should do or not. And a cozy relationship is always better. Friends have a right to disagree. If you become enemies, the disagreements ratchet up, and that's what this seems to be.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out. Darryl Cohen, we always appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.